Hiya friends, Prepared Suburbanite here. Wow, what a week we have had. This has been amazing with the two big Supreme Court decisions and what happened this morning when President Biden signed into law the bipartisan Safer Communities Act. But let me go back to the Supreme Court decisions earlier this week. Today's Saturday, the 25th of June, just 6 more shopping months till Christmas. In the case of Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization, the Supreme Court held that the Constitution does not confer a right to abortion. Roe and Casey are overruled, and the authority to regulate abortion is returned to the people and their elected representatives. So the left, of course, has gone absolutely bonkers over this particular decision, not realizing that they should now direct their efforts to their individual state legislatures to seek the relief that they that they want. I think it's crazy. The whole Roe v. Wade thing 49 years ago, I think was a gross misinterpretation of our Constitution, and any kind of religious or biblical background that you may subscribe to. I was reminded of Jeremiah's conversation with God from the Old Testament, and it said this: "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." That's Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 5. I think in that it tells the real truth that God knew us before or while we were in the womb, which means that the sanctity of life begins at conception. There's no other way to interpret that, and abortion is that abomination. But the Supreme Court made the right decision in my mind. We'll see what the left does with that. The second case that they ruled on this week was the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin. And the Supreme Court held that New York's proper cause requirement violates the 14th Amendment by preventing law-abiding citizens with ordinary self-defense needs from exercising their Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms in public for self-defense. And it just bounces right off the Heller decision as well. And of course, the left went crazy. Different governors in very lefty states have, decried this announcement as like, oh, we're ushering in the wild, wild west, and this is going to be even more dangerous than it was before. And the Supreme Court doesn't have the authority to do this and to do that, and that the Supreme Court should be abolished. And they have gone crazy. Have gone. Still are, I guess. The simple truth behind this one and the whole abortion thing is that the states have the right to enact laws pursuant to the 10th Amendment to the Constitution. It basically says if it's not in the Constitution, the states have the right to do what they need to do. And the overstepping of the federal government and the previous Supreme Court cases said that the federal government was getting way too big for its britches, and they wanted to tamp it back down and stay in line with what the 10th Amendment really had to say. So it's returned to the states. And I suspect that there will be quite a lot of activity at the state legislature level, depending on which color of the rainbow that state marches, the drummer marches to. I suspect that conservative states will be more inclined now to push for more constitutional carry in those states. I suspect that the leftist states, the very, very blue states, will try to enact even more restrictive gun purchasing, gun ownership, gun permitting requirements, and that's what's going to happen here. But it's outside the purview of the federal government. It belongs to the states, and that's where we need to be directing our information, our feelings, our opinions, so that those representatives that we allegedly have in state legislatures know what we think. So there's that. The other thing I see coming is, this is just a prediction. I don't have any facts to base this up. It's my opinion. I believe that the Democrats in the House and the Senate are going to move very quickly to codify the Roe v. Wade decision. They're going to pass a law that's going to say there is a right to abortions in the United States, and I think if they can get it written, if they can get it put through all the required committees, that it'll come up for a vote before the midterm elections, when the Democrats still allegedly have some power to wield. If they wait and delay until after the midterm elections, there's not a ghost chance that codifying the abortion right is going to ever fly. But my prediction is they will work very fast to codify this thing and get it in and get it on the agenda for the vote this summer, and certainly before the midterm elections. We had a couple of victories from the conservative side, and we had one big loss with the Safer Communities Act. The 14 traitors from rhinos in the Republican Party that sided with the Democrats on the Safer Communities Act have done a huge disservice to the law-abiding citizens of this country. And just to remember, there's 4 or 5, maybe even 6 key factors in the Safer Communities Act that they call bipartisan. It enhances background checks for buyers under 21. And I think what that means, even though it doesn't come right out and say it, is that your hidden juvenile records that you may have goofed up when you were 14, those are going to be available as part of the background check if you're between 18 and under 21 and you want to purchase a firearm. I don't think that's fair. I don't think it's going to hold up to muster. I don't think it's going to make it past a conservative Supreme Court. They're promising $750 million to the states as basically a bribe to enact them, the red flag laws in individual states, and also to support crisis intervention services. And I guess that's sort of a mental health thing, so we'll see. But bribing the states to pass Red flag laws, I'll tell you what, it better pass muster according to our rights in the Constitution. It closes the boyfriend loophole. Now, I don't necessarily even have a big problem with that. The way the statute was written, it only counted for spouses. And now it's going to count for like live-in boyfriends or dating partners or whatever. And they've redefined some of the terms in there that make me pretty nervous. So they didn't iron it out. It's going to be subject to a whole bunch of legal wrangling over the time, and we'll see what it really does turn out. But essentially, yeah, maybe it's a good thing if it's worded properly and if those folks still have their rights. It redefines what and who a federal firearms licensee is. It changes the definition. Folks like Guns and Gadgets, Jared Yanis, went into a lot of detail about what this all means. Dan Bongino really hit the nail on the head, I believe, when he made his overview of this particular section in the Safer Communities Act. It creates somehow new, but I thought they were already there, interstate gun trafficking laws and laws against straw purchases. I thought we already had them, but maybe they're tougher. Will they be enforced? Probably not in Los Angeles, but we'll see, or even Philadelphia for that matter. But there's a whole bunch of money in there for that law. It expands community mental health services. Well, that's good. I'm glad that they didn't do a full gun control nonsense thing with, taking AR-15s and AR-47s, hell yes, kind of a thing. But mental health services, probably needed. I wish I had a lot of faith in mental health practitioners, but I don't. And it provides school safety funding, which I think is what the rhinos were hanging their hats on for that. Single point of entries, locked doors, armed personnel properly trained inside the schools. I think that's going to go a long way to dissuade mass shootings in schoolyards and stuff like that, but it's not ever going to change the mentality of a criminal who wishes to wreak havoc. So that's what I saw this week. A couple of pieces of good news and a couple of worrisome things to be concerned about in the future. This is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to be prepared always, and I'll see you all on the next video.